Welcome to Rebirth Podcast. I'm your host, Shea, and of course,
I'm Corey, aka The Thinker.
All right, guys, make sure you tune into tonight's episode. This is part 2 of Ask the Therapist. If you've seen part 1, you definitely don't want to miss tonight.
Yeah.
Make sure you like, share, and subscribe.
Out of the ashes we will soar to a destiny we can't ignore. Heartbeats echo through the night with every dream and endless flight. Together strong, let's break the mold. Our rebirth and stories told. It's time to renew, rebuild, restore. Unlock the dreams we've been waiting for. Rise up higher, more and more. With every breath, a new dawn's roar.
Happy Monday. Welcome to Rebirth Podcast. I'm your host, Shea.
And I'm Corey.
Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Before we get started, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to tonight's video. So if you were with us 2 weeks ago, you were witnessing a spicy conversation.
You think it was spicy?
It was spicy.
Was it?
It was.
Okay.
It was, especially the ending.
Yeah.
We had a great conversation. We had roundtable talk, and we called the segment Ask the Therapist. So tonight we're going to be doing part 2 of Ask the Therapist, and joining us tonight is Melita Grimes and Ebony Maddrey. So we're so excited to have them back to continue this conversation tonight. Before we get started though, guys, we have a couple things we need to let you guys know about that's coming up for the Hip Hop Summit. You want to talk about that?
Rebirth Busy.
I like that.
You like that?
Busy.
Rebirth Busy.
Yeah.
So the Hip Hop Summit is coming to y'all October 18th, 2025. Rebirth will be definitely in the building. A lot of vendors, DJs, dance, and as you see, the special guest is going to be DMC, the founder of Run DMC. So I don't know what demographic you in, but you should know who Run DMC is.
If you know hip hop, if you like hip hop, you guys gotta know about Run DMC. Come on now,
Not
walk this way, Peter Piper, pick pepper.
Okay, all right.
You wanted me to.
Do your sons know who Run DMC is?
Walk this way.
I mean, I know.
Yes.
They know. Your sons know who Run DMC is?
Yes, they do.
They do? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You raised them
I'm
right.
a music head.
You raised them right.
Of course they do.
You raised them right.
Yeah.
All right. You were a music head. Yeah,
See, you hating, Corey.
I'm not hating.
You was hating last time.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. See, it's the delivery that you're giving me. That's the reason why I can't receive it. Now I got to fix it. You had to bring 2 of your friends. Don't.
Yeah, guys, make sure Rebirth will be in the building, and we're gonna have a good time. So the tickets are only $10.
Yeah, come out and enjoy the day.
Absolutely. So it should be a great time. And of course, if you tuned in last week, we had Grouchy Greg and that was on a show, and they were talking to you. They were talking to us about the Hip Hop Summit.
Yeah,
so make sure you guys tune in, or make sure you get your ticket so you can go and be a part of it.
Yes.
And also, have you gotten your Rebirth meetup tickets yet?
Rebirth meetup tickets. Come out, enjoy, and have a good time with us. The last time we did this was it February?
Yes, it was in February.
It was in February?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had a good time in February. So DJ Just Twan, we had a great vibe, great music, hip hop and R&B.
Mm-hmm.
Shay didn't rap. She was serving drinks.
I danced. I was doing the boots on the ground dance.
You sure was.
That's when it had just dropped.
It sure was.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do it this year, though.
I'm not.
I mean, that's
if I want to.
I mean, I just
All right.
I know Fantasia dropped it again, but
check out this clip.
Check out the clip. Sorry.
To announce the Rebirth Meetup is coming in October 25th from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. Come out and hang out with like-minded people, networking, turning conversations into connection. Music is being provided by DJ Just Twan. And also we have a live performance by Corey Dane. Make sure you go to rebirthu.com today and secure your ticket. I hope to see you there.
All right, guys. Again, there are limited tickets.
Yes.
We are having it at the Marketplace Gallery, which is the last place that we had it, and we sold out.
Sure.
And the Rebirth Meetup is a smaller version, but more intimate version of the Rebirth Live. Right. We did not do the Rebirth Live this year. We pushed it back to April 2026. So we'll be, giving out more information on that. But the Rebirth Meetup, it's going to be a nice vibe. So before it starts to get cold and everybody, it's cuddle season, everybody don't want to come out.
Cuddles.
Come on out to Rebirth Meetup. Let's have a good time. And
yeah, Rebirth Meetup is like the party y'all want after Rebirth Live.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And this year we actually going to be doing a fireside chat.
Fireside chat.
Yes.
Bring your friends.
Yeah.
Therapist
Spicy
friends. Bring them.
Yeah. Or come by yourself, because you come by yourself, you might meet somebody.
Okay.
So I'm just saying.
Okay. Sure.
You got,
Okay.
not meet somebody in that way. They might meet a friend.
That's not how you said it. We doing
Can
speed dating?
Can you bring my ladies back on, please?
All right. Yeah, bring them back on.
Are you going to introduce them?
No, they keep me tame. They were cool. I liked it. I felt comfortable. I felt seen.
I cannot. Ladies,
validated. Sorry, Shay. All right, guys.
Welcome back to Rebirth Podcast. I'm so sorry. Corey has me like thrown off right now. Welcome back to Rebirth Podcast, guys. The last time we talked, we sat down, we were getting into some little heated conversation.
Oh my God.
I think so. I think the question that I put out there.
I mean, you just took it to another level. You did.
Yeah.
But that's good though. That's
do you remember what the question was? Remember where we left off at?
You know what? I think you would articulate it way better than me.
Okay. Well, then how about you introduce the ladies?
Oh God. Welcome back, ladies. How y'all doing?
We're doing great. Thank you.
We're good. Thank you.
Listen, I appreciate y'all seeing me. I think she set it up like I was going to be a problem. Oh, we friends there. I don't.
The people are. What if somebody's tuning in that haven't seen the first segment for them?
All right. Sorry. Please welcome Ebony. It's my friend Ebony, right?
Oh, now you're friends.
Yeah, we friends. I done took that over. You're done. And I might mess your name up. And Melita. Rhyme. So welcome back, ladies, for part 2 of this conversation. I think part 1 was super awesome. We got into a lot. I think we talked about just conversations in general. I think we talked about just how we can also develop each other. Like, I think that we just have to continue to push this conflict resolution forward and think about how we're able to raise each other up and speak to each other in a way that we can continue to develop each other, because not doing this, so Shay, so the cliffhanger you left us on was what?
So
that was crazy.
So the last time that we were all together, we were talking about, I proposed the question out there, and basically what I was saying is, why do we enter into conflict or blame if your spouse, your partner, whoever comes to you and says that maybe there's a need that's unmet emotionally, and they come to you and they want to talk to you about it? Why does it go left? Why does it lead to conflict or blame? And both ladies gave their perspective and their opinion. Corey, you gave yours. But then when you were talking, you said men are fixers. So if you're coming to me, only thing I'm thinking about is, what can I do to fix it? I've stopped listening to
I know you
everything
were gonna go
else.
back to that.
I was going to go because that's what happened.
Okay.
That is what happened.
Maybe not for all men.
Okay. But you just said it.
I said Corey, though. But you're right.
But you stop hearing everything else, and now the only thing you're thinking about is fixing it. And you said that, and that means you're in conflict with yourself. When it comes down to that, which, depending on what it is, the topic could lead conflict with me, right? Then you also said, like, if you're not sexually satisfied, boom, that's where we start.
I gave an example.
That's where you gave an example.
Yeah.
So my point is, and ladies, I want to hear from you, because if I come to you, Corey,
All right.
right?
All right.
Let's pretend you're my man.
Not three of them. We got a problem there. How you get three of me? One ain't enough. my man. I gotta be three of them.
Let's say I come to you and I want to, and I'm saying to you, you know, babe, you know, I love you, you know,
okay.
and you know, things have been great, and we're just chilling, you know, but I'm not feeling like something's off with me. I'm not feeling sexually satisfied, or I'm not feeling like, you know, where things are moving in a direction that I need them to move. And I'm not saying that you're doing anything intentionally to do that, but these are just my feelings. I'm just sharing this with you, right? So all you heard was, you're not sexually satisfying me. That's all you heard. So now you become defensive. What do you mean that I'm not sexually satifying you? What's going on? You stop listening. So ladies, I want to hear what you have to say.
I think that it's the approach. If you don't mind me going first, Ebony.
No, go ahead.
I think it's the approach. I think that if you start off with the, you know, what you're not doing, then that is going to affect really anyone, as opposed to like, I'd rather try this, or I think I would like this, or are you open to something a little different? I think that kind of you know, would kind of give like an intrigue or an enticement, as opposed to like what you're not doing. Now it's like we can try.
So do you think so let's, because I'm just putting it out there. All of that is being done, but when that particular topic
being sex,
yes,
okay,
or when it comes down to something like that, I don't think y'all hear that part. You might, the open thing has what's said. What you know, what can we do, or what exactly what you said, but all he's hearing is, you're not meeting a need. Seriously, I did not call you.
We needed backup.
Y'all. All he hearing is, there was a need that was not met. So let's say the perfect approach. Yo, I don't know what's going on, but Siri is just answering everything.
I appreciate it, Siri.
Let's say the perfect approach was made. Then what? Well, now what, Melita?
So I think, you know, if the perfect approach was made, then I think it does have to do with a little bit of ego. I think that if, you know, they're feeling like they've done everything, or they're feeling like they, you know, just a little bit, if they feel like they're doing everything, because I will be honest, I haven't, you know, a lot of times that approach normally works. Like, try something, unless they just don't want to do it, or they feel like they're not capable of doing something different, or they've become stagnant, or, you know, something along those lines. But if the perfect approach has been taken and they're still kind of, now I feel like there's something I'm missing, maybe reassurance and helping them understand that bodies change, people change, things that might have been working a while ago may not work now because you're older, or because, you know, things have happened, and reassuring that it's not always just you, but now I'm working on, like, now my body has changed. I've learned my body now, and this is what can work for me, you know?
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah. Ebony, I can't wait to hear from you.
Well, I was gonna tie it into you know, how we think about like intellect and with regards to academia, right? So it's like, if something's not connecting there, you figure out a solution, right? And I think when it comes to emotional intelligence, it's important to be able to have those types of conversation. I think, like Melita said, the approach is everything. But going back to what we said earlier about seeking clarity and clarification, one, for the person who's not feeling sexually fulfilled, to be able to articulate in which ways are you not, right? But also validating the ways in which you are. And then for the receiver to say, okay, well, what would you propose, right? Like just really being open-minded. But I think it has a lot to do with emotional intelligence. And, you know, because ego will be a barrier every single time in every situation. And it's like when you're being intimate with someone or you're in a relationship with someone, the intent is not to like beat them down, right? It's how can we fix this to move on? And I think when couples can understand, like, no, we're in this thing together, right? Because if I am being fulfilled and satisfied, then naturally you would be too, right? And so, and what men want to do, going back to what Corey said about fixing, you know, I want to make sure that I'm able to please and pleasure the person that I am with. And so being able to have that open back and forth conversation, you know, and really kind of putting ego up on the shelf, I think is what's warranted in situations like that.
Yes. I like the fact that you said validating what is going right, what is going good. So that's important. What?
Yeah, whatever. Listen, so
Corey.
No, hell no. Don't tell me, oh, you do this really great.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Right? Okay, thank you. I appreciate the diagram. I know that I did this right.
I told you, Melita.
It does matter. You're right. You're absolutely right. What I was going to ask you though, does emotional intelligence equal maturity? Are they the same?
I don't think they're the same.
Because I can be emotionally intelligent to hear you and put all the logistics together and receive and have an articulate response, but my ego is also attached to my maturity.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mature enough to hear the message that you're saying to me, then it doesn't matter your emotional intelligence. I'm not mature enough, and mature doesn't mean like I'm a kid. It just means that the way my ego is set up right now in this situation and my maturity, they're in conflict, right? So I think the perfect approach could happen. I think you can have the best intent, but if my maturity is not going to be able to match the conversation and being able to receive that, then there's always going to be a conflict, right? So I agree, the approach matters. But I think sometimes with us men, you almost have to like trick us. You may have to ask me, do I sexually satisfy you?
Okay.
But be prepared for my answer. Because that might introduce your side to say, she's like, no. Ebony's like, no, that ain't how to do it, right? I'm saying for me. All right. So like you may have to say to me,
but see, why do we got to do all of this?
Hold on,
we just have a conversation?
Because at the end of the day, though, the conversation has to lead to
pineapples.
No, you know pineapples. Hold on. Let me ask you a question, Shay. Not Shay, but ladies, put yourself in Shay's seat. If that conversation comes up and you say, "Hey, I'm kind of feeling this way sexually," what is the ultimate goal of that conversation?
The ultimate goal is how can we both get there, right? Like what can we put in place?
I'm already there, Eb. I feel great.
It ain't all about you.
You feel great.
No. I feel great. You have the delay, apparently. Right?
No, but you carry down that selfish.
There you go.
But this is how it goes. This is how it goes, though. We're role playing.
No, I don't agree with that.
I'm not role playing. But this is how it goes.
I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ebony. You say you don't agree, and then Melita, I want to hear from you. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Ebony.
I don't agree because when we think about, so you asked a question first, right? Does emotional intelligence equate to maturity? No, but they have to work hand in hand, right?
Sure.
And it's just like when, you're working through an issue and then you have medication. The medication isn't going to do all the work. Right. They have to go hand in hand. And so when you think about connecting with a person, and I would like to say for most men, but there are a handful that don't necessarily make sure that their partner gets to where they want to go. But I think it takes a lot of discipline. I think it takes a lot of intentionality to make sure that your person is getting to where they need to get to, and you get to where you're getting to. And if a conversation has to happen, to make sure that, you know, again, like, how was it? Did you get there? Is there something I could do different? I think that comes with, you know, just being mature and stepping into that level or that realm of maturity, and being able to kind of putting some of the other stuff to the side. And so, yeah, I don't agree, like, for a person to say, well, as long as I get mine, you know, it shouldn't be that way, you know. Like,
that wasn't what I was saying.
Okay, that's what I heard. Look, that's what I heard.
No. See what I'm saying?
Reciprocity is key.
That is what you said at the end.
No. When y'all said we're both not getting there, I'm saying I'm fine. Not saying that you're bringing the conversation up, so your needs are not being met, or you're not being, to Ebony's point, I'm not getting you there, right? So I'm sexually satisfied. You're not. So let's talk about what that looks like for you. That's what I'm saying. Not like I'm good, so figure it out. I'm not saying that.
Melita, you can go.
See, she's saying she done tapped out. See, she tapped out. I don't want upstairs now. Look, I'm done.
Exactly what happens when we feel unheard. We shut down.
We shut down. That's a fact.
I'm showing you exactly what happens. Melita, go ahead.
Because
girl.
I feel like it's something you feel like you've just done it all, right? But I think it's a few things. You have to know your partner. Right. So if you have that partner that is kind of, I've got what I want and I'm fine, I'm not going to hear nothing you have to say, then you kind of have to, you know, navigate around that in whatever way. But if sometimes you have a partner where you can have the conversation. Sometimes you got to take his hand, walk him to the back, and show him what you're talking about, you know? And I think that it really is, like, depending on your partner is going to determine which approach to really make. Sometimes you have to be very gentle. Sometimes you could just be outright and let them know, listen, that wasn't it, and this is what I need. But you know, as we all have been told, men are a little bit more simple than women and not as complex. And sometimes it's just about not having the actual words, but just the act itself, and just showing them what it is that you're looking for in the moment. And they're in vulnerable state. So sometimes it's a little better to do it in that moment than it is when they're not in that vulnerable state, but their ego is tapped in, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I will say this for men, though, we also have to be able to receive. I hear more times than not, men are not, or it's perceived that we're not able to hear that conversation or receive instruction to say that we're not showing up the way we either thought we were, or what our previous partner, whoever has said that we are. Like, we walk around like, oh, I'm good. I feel like I'm straight. I ain't heard nothing. Right. So this is the first time I'm hearing it. It might be you. You know what I'm saying? But we have to be able to receive, to say, my partner needs something different from me. And surprisingly or not, if you bring that to the conversation, I might be like, I was waiting for you to say something, because, girl, I definitely been wanting to do it on the deck. You know what I mean? I didn't know that was you. You come home all stressed out and you talk to 17 clients. I don't know what to do. I just wanted you to say that.
Falls under taking initiative, right? So it's like, I think that, and Shea mentioned it earlier, like, you're a different person in your 20s and 30s, and then in your 40s and your 50s. And so it's like, when you get to a certain point in life, it's like, do we really have to play these games, or can we just say exactly what it is? Like, babe, I had a rough day at work. Can you rub my back? Can you rub my feet? Or I'm ready to do. Like, do we have to, like, pussyfoot around, you know, the topic or the discussion or even the needs, versus being straightforward? And even for the men, like, do you have to hold back at this point in life? You know what I mean? So I feel like we've all lived long enough to be able to be like some straight shooters, you know. And I think that even to talk about ego, while it's a real thing, it's like, again, at a certain point in life, can we keep hiding behind ego, right? Like, oh, I'm a man's man, like, you know what I mean? So I just didn't have to like play games, you know what I mean?
I think it's important, because again, and this is going to lead to the next question about how we do, you know, how maybe childhood trauma or behaviors can sometimes show up in these type of conversations, right? Because we may shut down if we're not being heard, or we become defensive if you're saying something that I don't want to hear, or you feel like I'm under attack. But I think ideally, like you said, we're grown. I should be able to come to you. As long as I'm coming to you, my approach is good. I'm not accusing you of anything. I should be able to come to you and have a conversation about us evolving together. How can we fix this? How can we become more creative? How am I supposed to show you what I want and what I feel now without feeling like you're going to judge me, or you're going to push back and say something's wrong with me, or you're going to feel that I'm not pleasing you? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're my person, this should be a safe space for us to talk about. It should be a fun thing to talk about and be like, hey, maybe we need to implement some other things. Have you ever thought about this? But because I couldn't get past the conversation, or because he couldn't get past the conversation, you, Corey, what I just said, you still stuck on me saying that you wasn't meeting my needs. I haven't even gotten to the next sentence. Maybe I was going to say something really crazy that you would have loved, but now you done shut me down. So now I don't want to talk. So I'm going to the next question, guys.
See what I'm saying?
I'm going to the next question. How do behaviors we picked up as survival skills in childhood, like shutting down, being overly independent, or avoiding emotions, play out when we try to build healthy relationship as adults?
That's heavy. I think that you have to know yourself, though. I think that's so important, that you know yourself and you know what triggers you. And I think more times than not, we do know a lot more than we give ourselves credit for, or that we're willing to articulate. But there's a judgment that may come with that. There is a isolation that may come with that. I think that we know more than we give ourselves credit for, that we're willing to share out loud. And the first time we're having that conversation is when somebody calls it out, and now we feel embarrassed, right? Because that childhood wound could show up as an adult, where I have an abandonment issue, right? And I don't know necessarily how to identify that until it actually happens, right? But it's something to say, like, hey, when you just stop answering my text message, or when you stop communicating with me and you went upstairs and closed the door and said, I'm not talking about this, it made me feel like X, right? So I think that sometimes we have to speak freely and find our voice unapologetically in any situation, as long as you're being respectful, and as long as that you're being respectful not only to the person but yourself. I think that's where it starts, because I think there's something to say that we know what that wound feels like. We know when we're triggered. We just don't necessarily know how to put it to words all the time. Sometimes we act it out. Sometimes we shut down, but we have to find some type of way to articulate that. And I think that's such a big deal. That's why when Ebony talked about the middle school thing, and again, like you said, it could be earlier. That's the big deal. We're dealing with people out here that have never been hugged by their parents. And the first time they're being hugged is when they get to you, and that burden is put on you, and you don't even know it. Right? So I think it shows up in multiple ways, and I think that we have to really, really get personal with ourselves before we start to either date or become parents or engage in this leadership meeting that we think, because it all plays out eventually, right? And really look at ourselves as a brand. I don't know if that's taught as early. Right. Imagine if you were taught at 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. These kids are different these days. They come with like a whole iPad in their brain. Right. If you talk about yourself as a brand at 5 and 6 and 7 years old, imagine how you protect that brand. Same way you would do with, I don't know, whatever the brand is that you protect, Apple, whatever. Who are you allowing in your circle? How are you allowing yourself to communicate the things that you put yourself around? All of that stuff plays out in how you show up in your relationships, to me. And I think that we have to start introducing that early, and really being intentful as an adult. I don't know if we do that.
Okay. Thank you.
No.
Mhm.
Okay. Who would like to go first?
I don't mind, but I think that Corey worded it perfectly. I do think that there's a onus to protect your brand, to protect your image, and I know for me, when I work with kids, I claim all of them as my own, right? And so I put the same expectation on them that I have for the kids that I gave birth to, and it's like the representation, like who's going to show up. It's important to be able to regulate your emotions. It's important to be able to step away when something doesn't feel good. It's important to be able to let people know when they've offended you or if they've done something that made you feel uncomfortable, and like really just being vocal in all of those things. And so I think that as you get into relationships and you're dating, the only thing we have power over is self. And so it's like, I can share a thing with you about how I feel. Like for me, I grew up in a home with domestic violence, so I don't like people yelling at me, and I say that up front. And so I think just really being clear, like you said, Corey, about the things that trigger you, the things that cause your nervous system to be out of whack, and really like paying attention to that and being able to express that to whoever's in front of you, but also being okay to remove yourself if they can't respect that, or if they can't honor the things or the boundaries that you put in place. So I think that that's super important.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ebony. Melita?
Yeah, so I think, it definitely shows up. Somebody somewhere said, it's not fair because somebody else caused our trauma, but it's our job to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's real important that if you don't, and say you saw your mother dependent upon a man, but it constantly thrown in her face, or so now you become this person that's overly independent, and it shows up, but then you're wondering why you keep attracting the same person who's not emotionally available, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I think it shows up in ways. I think sometimes people aren't conscious of it, and sometimes they are. It's the ones who aren't conscious of it, and you're wondering why each relationship continues to fail because you're in your mind bringing everything that you didn't see. The negative things that you didn't see is what you're making sure you don't do, and not wondering why, and then wondering why you're not getting a better outcome. And so I think sometimes it's good to see a whole picture instead of focusing solely on, what your traumas were that you're trying to run from or trying to avoid, and also see what in the childhood that benefited from it. So it definitely shows up, and it's real unfortunate because you see people that come for you before you, and they're they're attracting the same person. They don't want that same person, but they're not sure why it's happening, and a lot of times it is because they're not fully aware of what it is that they're exuding, and coming across.
Right.
And I also think, Melita, taking a pause in between relationships, a lot of people don't do that. And so like really taking time out to heal so that you're not bleeding into the next thing. Like if you've had this pattern of these relationships that are just failed and they don't work, like really kind of being okay with being one with self, dating yourself, like Shea said, meeting with your therapist regularly to unpack or to peel back the layers of what is at the root of this, and in which ways am I contributing to the failures of these relationships, right? And then like kind of, I'm real big on solitude. I know Corey spoke about being isolated with some things, but when we think about solitude, like to be in solitude, you have to be intentional about that space, right? Because that's sacred ground. That's time for you to really kind of lock in and do the work that needs to be done so that you can kind of assess and see like, well, what makes me feel good? What doesn't make me feel good? What are some of the things that I need in my next relationship versus, the things that I don't want? And if it looks familiar, sounds familiar, and acts familiar, 9 times out of 10, it is familiar. So I need to be okay to excuse myself and say, you know what? I thought that this would be a good fit, but it's not going to work for me. And like really being comfortable in that. And I think you only get to that place after you've done a lot of your own healing work.
Mm-hmm. And I think
Absolutely.
that's part of like the trauma, right? Because some people are afraid to be alone.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think there's this big stigma about, especially women who are alone, but even men, they have
Yeah.
a stigma with everybody. When you're alone, it's just this, you're not supposed to be, and you can't, or you can only be alone for so many years or so many months, and then something's wrong with you. And so I completely agree. It's very important.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think also being honest about what that journey looks like. I think sometimes everything is put up in a bow, whether it's on social media, like I got it all figured out. And, I went and took this journey of X and now I'm just perfect. But they don't talk about the gap, the gap from when you started to the gap when you are in a better place, because healing is a journey. It's not like a destination, right? So like when I'm in a better place to say I'm over here now, right now, I'll circle it back to men. A lot of times we struggle with discipline. I'm single and I know I'm not with anybody, but like she looked good. Right? So like what am I supposed to do how do I manage that emotion?
You go home, like the man said in the other episode.
But here's the thing. But that's why that resonated with me, right? Because when he said go home, it's not to say disregard anything. You still have those feelings, but going home means sometimes you just need to go sit down, right? Yeah. Because the temptation is always going to be there. Always. And how do we manage that temptation, right? We want to take you out. We want to do this. We want to do that. And sometimes we just need to go sit the hell down somewhere. You know what I'm saying? But I think that we have to be honest about that. Like I'm struggling. Like, oh my God. You know what I mean? Like she wants to go out. I want to go out too.
Yeah.
My ex wants to hang out again. Right? Like, what do you do?
But I think the ladies nailed it when they said a lot of people don't want to be by themselves.
Yeah.
They can't. And I see that a lot. I do. And I think some of the reasons is because that truth hurts. When you sit there and you got to look at yourself, you have nobody else to blame but you, and you got to get naked with yourself. A lot of people is not ready to do that. They're not ready to do that. So it's easier for me to just go right on back into another relationship and point out what you're doing wrong, how you're not loving me right, and all these other things. And then that explodes. And then you go on and you continue to do it over and over and over again. Because if I got to sit down and be naked with myself, that means I got to admit I got trauma. I got to admit that I was sexually assaulted or molested or whatever that was going on that makes me feel or, have that causes the behaviors that I have. I have to own up to all of that. I got to talk about my dad not being around. I got to talk about my mom being an addict. Right. And people are not able to they're not ready to confront all of that. Right. So I feel, and I believe that is why people constantly go right back into relationships, because they can't sit with their own truth.
Yeah.
And so that's start with people in therapy. I often tell them, everybody comes to therapy and they think that, I'm going to walk out every day happy and just elevate and up. And it's like, no, because you're going to sometimes it's going to be hard because you're going to learn things about yourself that you're not aware. And I think, somebody somewhere said, like, when the reality of who you are doesn't match the idea of who you think you are, that's when like depression sets in. And that's when, but if you're by yourself and you don't have anybody to like help you with that, to walk you through it, then it could become a little scary, very dangerous, right? So it is hard to learn stuff about yourself, but that's about the growth. That's where I think we all know growth happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And like, how do we associate? And so here's an epiphany I had like a year ago, right? Like, it's probably gonna get me in trouble. Right, so here's the epiphany.
Let me take a sip now.
You do that. Right, so here's the epiphany I had, right? Imagine, so put you all a therapist, right? November 15th comes. You get a meeting on your calendar. You turn your Zoom camera on or your door opens, and the first client that walks in your door is Sean Diddy Combs. Think about the conversation, or what I would love to know the lesson that he's learned through all of what he's been, right? And one of the things that I was going to, ask the therapist, right? The question that I wanted to have is that we are so quick as a community to shame, blame, cast away, throw away, kick. And that is such a horrible thing, right? You can also hold a person accountable for what they've done. But also what I recognized going through this whole thing, because it was a roller coaster of emotion, that we're all looking at this situation through a lens of also trauma. So sometimes you can get in a comment and have a conversation with somebody. You're arguing about right or wrong. They're arguing back with you of, I can identify what would happen with this girl, or I can identify as being that man, and a woman telling you, I'm not leaving. Now what? Right? So sometimes we're arguing based off of our trauma. It's like our demons are matching each other, and that's what the conflict actually is. Mm-hmm. And I can't get outside of that because I'm reliving it. I have never addressed it with the person that X did this to me, or the situation that happened. I'm going to relive this through the Diddy trial, or the fact that I had the same thing with the fact that Cardi's pregnant again. Mm-hmm. Right. And I'm like, what the hell is happening? Mm-hmm. Right. Like, maybe that's what she wants to do, to each his own. The divorce is not final. Yeah. Right. Okay. Divorce is not final. You're pregnant and your baby's not just turned a year. Mm-hmm. Right. You're pregnant by another guy who has 2 other alleged kids by 2 other women. And you get on live and you're making food and all this other stuff. And it's funny. Like, I love Cardi. Don't get me wrong. And she said, well, I mean, girl, like, if you pregnant, I'm pregnant. Like, we just going to figure it out. Mm-hmm. What? What are you talking about? Right? So, like, for me, we're living through this trauma eye with these people that have raised us through music, through entertainment. And we see like how they're living and things like that. Imagine walking into your room. What would you tell them? And we never hear that story of redemption, or we never hear that story of struggle. We never hear that story of like, here's what the epiphany I had. I sat in jail for a year behind my own sexual non-discipline, whatever you want to call it, right? And now my business is out on Front Street. How do I go back into society and live I'm raising 2 girls, 2 sons, whatever the story is. Mm-hmm. And like, we just relive and relive trauma over and over and over and over and over again. How do we heal from that? Right? Because we just like live in the comments. And I think from a society perspective, from us, like as Black people, it's a shame. It's horrible. Mm-hmm. This culture that we're in right now sucks for me. Mm-hmm. Like it's almost like, what the hell are we doing? Like this. So it's like, also to part of our conversation is like, how could a woman or a man feel safe in our community when we watch what we put our people through day over day? We watch it. Shannon Sharp, same person, right? Like, same thing, right? This happens to him, and we just in the comments, dang, and I can't believe, and blah 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 blah, right? We eat our own. Like, where's the redemption story inside of that?
So what is the question that we're proposing to them?
I think that the question I would propose to you all is, why do you feel like as a community, and maybe you don't see it the same way I do, maybe you don't, but as a community, where do you feel like we're failing as a community? Or do you see that we don't love on each other correctly? Whether it's we agree with you or we don't agree with you, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm sure when we get to the gates of heaven, mm-hmm. it's a different conversation than what we're doing over here. but we claim to be Christian this and that and Muslim that. Like that story is very different over here, and and willing to have an argument on earth that I'm not gonna have to have in heaven is a very different story.
So you feel that the Black culture, we cancel people quickly?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Who wants to address that?
I think that society has cultivated this hiding behind the screen mentality. Social media has given everybody an opinion where everybody feels like their opinion is like the law. One of the things, so you originally started out asking like, what would we say if Cardi, Diddy, or Shannon Sharp came into our offices? I think one of the biggest things is that helping them to just own their part of the story, encouraging them, like if they're talking about it, to me, other people can't hurt you with it. Like anything that I've experienced or anything that has happened in my life, if I'm talking about it, honestly, I don't care who you tell because I said it to you, right? And so people naturally will put their own twist on it. But I do think that when these things happen, like they're silent for a really long time and they're probably being encouraged to be silent, right? As not to implicate themselves or what have you. But if I am talking about my situation or my truth, again, whatever you decide to do with it, you do with it, but encouraging them to kind of, again, like own it and to walk with their head held high. Like it happened, yes, you're a celebrity. You're going to be in the limelight. You don't owe everybody an explanation, but if you're talking about your own situation, like who better to get it from? And it goes back to what I said about going directly to the source. And I think Cardi tries to, exemplify that by always going on live. I don't agree with her always feeling like she has to defend herself a lot, but I do think that she's very vocal in what she has going on. But it's her situation, and I think we get so caught up in what's going on in other people's lives that we fail to look at our own. And so it's like, who are we to judge? And one thing that we preach in therapy is taking a non-judgmental stance, right? Because again, that's her situation. I don't care if she had a baby every 6 months by a different man. She chose to do that, right? So why would I allow it to take up that much space and energy with me? The things that Diddy did, he made a conscious decision. He thought that he was untouchable, right? But again, that's his situation. That's his story to tell. So I think if we can like model for people, like to not be so invested in other people's ish or stuff that they have going on and really kind of like turn the lens and look at self, going back to Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror, right? That's where it starts. And so that other stuff, it's like apples and oranges, pineapples, right? So it's like they're human, and so I think it's just that I think we get too caught up and too vested, especially with having access to people online. Like, and I think it's safe to say that we all post, right? And so you all can relate to people saying, oh, I know her, or I know this person. No, you don't know me. You know what I share, and really being able to understand that just because I post things, that doesn't mean that you know me,
For sure.
you know of me, and so I think, again, just helping people with that level of mindset and being able to kind of grow in that way.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yep. True.
I think if Diddy, Shannon Sharp, Cardi B, we could throw R. Kelly in there, right? If they were, and I would be I would actually be happy that they came to therapy, right? Because it's just like, all right, but then I would be really interested to know like what they actually feel they need help with. Because when I think of Cardi, I don't think she really thinks, I mean, if she was vulnerable enough, and I don't know, never met her, but if she was vulnerable enough to be open about the areas that she feels like she needs help with, I think it would probably be completely different than what America thinks that she needs help with. I think the same with Diddy. I think if he came in, I would be and I would I would ask just a straight out general question, what brings you to therapy?
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Just because I am not going in with any preconceived, I don't want
Right.
to put what I think you need help with.
That's safe.
I genuinely want to know why you are here today and what I can do to try to help you, because
Mhm.
I think that would be, we have to be non-biased. We cannot be judgmental. We have to, because I know all of us have heard some things in therapy.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
we have to remain, impartial, because the job is really to try to help them with what they think they need help with. And I think as society has flipped it, and they try to make you get help with what they think you need help with, and not what you think you need help with. And so that real old saying of meeting people where they are is what the approach I would really take. And that would be really interesting to have. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think overall, as people, period, and not even just with our celebrities, but even with our pastors in church, we got to stop worshiping these people. They're human, and as human, they're faulty.
For sure,
they're faulty. As there's nobody. If you're human, you are faulty. You're going to make a mistake. You're going to make bad choices. Not all mistakes are mistakes. Some of them are choices that you just made. You knew you were wrong and you still made the decision to do it. But we're all faulty. So we have to stop worshiping these people like they're gods, or like they can't do no wrong. You know? Yeah. I think that's the biggest problem right there. Is how
I agree.
We put people on a pedestal.
That's a whole nother episode, Shay.
Another episode. I'm telling you.
And I think also being humble, right? Like, I think that sometimes we pass judgment and not really looking at the situations that we found ourselves in that people don't know about. Like, we all got a chapter we don't want read out loud, right? And I think sometimes we have to meet people with some sort of compassion, and we just don't do that because we don't have to. Like, you know what I mean? So I agree with y'all.
Yeah. So, ladies, I have one last question to wrap up tonight's episode. All right. If you could give our audience one bold challenge to do this week that would strengthen their mental health and their relationships, what would it be?
I think if I could go self-examination, I think it would be really important for you to look, as kind of going off of what Ebony was saying, look at yourself in the mirror and examine yourself, and not necessarily what your partner is or is not doing, or the people at work, or just you and yourself, and give yourself at least 3 things that you think that you would like to work on, and just kind of start from there.
I like that. Thank you, Melita.
Yeah, and I would say just to be intentional, even if it's just for the next 7 days, like be intentional in all things, and not give yourself permission to, the kids say crash out, but you know how we give ourselves permission to be a certain way. We give ourselves permission to say, oh, well, this is just the way I am. But being intentional about shifting in that energy, I think is super important. And if you can be intentional for the next 7 days, you can add on another 7. And before you know it, you're at 14. And you know what I mean? And so I think just moving through life with pure intentionality would be the best advice that I could give.
I like that.
That's good. I have one, and it's one that I actually use with my clients. I use this with my clients. Your challenge is ask 3 people, at least 3 people that's in your circle that interacts with you, rather they're in your home or they're at your job, and give them permission. Ask them, how do they experience you? And give them permission to give you the positives and the negatives of how they experience you. And here's the thing, you cannot rebuttal, because this is their experience. So you can't be like, no, I didn't, or no, I don't know. This is their experience. How do you experience me? And this is a question that I ask my family in my household, because I know when I might be a little bit off, because I can feel it, right? We already know how our bodies hold stress and all of that. So I know when I'm a little bit off. I know when I'm a little bit on edge. So every now and then I may ask my sons, how you guys been experiencing me over the last couple of weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And give them permission, because that is self-awareness as well. That's how you think you're showing up a certain way, but you're really not. You're really not showing up the way you think you're showing up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, we're human. And as humans, we're faulty. But we always can wake up the next day and make a different choice to better ourselves. So that would be my challenge, is to ask people in your circle, how do you experience me, and give them permission to give you the honest truth and reflect on that. Yeah.
I love that.
So,
Dope.
you have anything? A challenge you want to put out there?
I do.
What's that?
Why you say it like that?
Oh my God.
She came at me like I didn't have a challenge. Like, do you have one? Like, I think that I would say it's a little piece of what each of you actually have said. I would say to you to examine what you're taking in, whether it be energy, whether it be people, whether it be environment, whether it be conversation that you're in. Energy is a lot, right? And sometimes we become either inspired by something, or we become we get halted back by something. You have to examine the energy that you're receiving from the people that you're receiving it from, or the environments that you're in. And if you do that for the period of 5 to 7 days, take inventory of what that is, and is that where you want to be, and then make a pivot, because you always have the opportunity to pivot in life.
All right. Well, this has been very enlightening. I don't know. I'm a little hot over here from the heat that's been going on in the studio, but it's all good. Ladies, this has been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking time and, just sharing your knowledge and your perspectives. I want to give you the opportunity to let our audience know how they can reach out to you for services. If there's anything that you have coming up and you want the people to know, please take this time to shout your own selves out.
Okay. So I'll go. It's very quick. So I'm with Great Faith and Associates, and please feel free. You can always email Melita at withgreatfaith.com or 302-365-0347.
Perfect. Thank you, Melita.
Awesome. And so I am with Patchwork Human Services. We are located in Claymont, Delaware. You can call the office at 302-501-6641, or you can go to our website at www.patchworkhumanservices.com. And so while I have one of the therapists in the practice, she is actually putting on a Pilates after dark. Her brand is Tea Time with Tay. And so it's going to be held at Hadera Yoga Studio on November 13th at 7:30. Yeah. And so we share a lot of her stuff on the Patchwork page if you follow us on IG. But it's Tea Time with Tay, and I'll make sure that I send over a flyer so that you can have it as well. But that is coming up in Pilates After Dark, so that would be a great event for everybody to come out. Yeah, so she's doing her thing, and I love it.
Absolutely, definitely send that over to me. I like supporting, so send it over to me. That sounds like a great time.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go. Yeah, is this for just ladies, or is it for men as well?
All right.
It's for whoever wants to come. So Corey, you gonna come and do yoga?
I think we all need to join together and pray for Corey.
Yeah, y'all do that.
We're gonna put some hands on him.
Please do. Please do.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you, and I hope to have you back. This has been so much fun talking to you. It has been a pleasure. So thank you again, and please continue to enjoy the rest of your night. I appreciate you.
Thank you, ladies. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this episode. That
was fun.
This was fun. I loved it. We had a great time.
We're done.
And it also goes to show, right? We can agree to disagree and with certain things, but still do it with respect,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Because like you said, sometimes we see certain things through our own trauma lens, right? So again, thank you for tuning in tonight. If you want more content like this, please do us a favor. Just go over to YouTube and subscribe to our channel. It costs you nothing to do that, but it means everything to us. So we can continue to bring guests on like Ebony Maddrey and also Melita Grimes. So thank you again for tuning in to the Rebirth Podcast. Until next week, please have a blessed week. Good night.
What's up, y'all? I'm super excited to announce the Rebirth Meetup is coming in October 25th from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. Come out and hang out with like-minded people, networking, turning conversations into connection. Music is being provided by DJ Just Juan. And also, we have a live performance by Corey Dane. Make sure you go to rebirthu.com today and secure your ticket. I hope to see you there.